Hello and welcome. It is Sunday, 18th day of August 2019. My name is Derek. This is the Money Charts channel, where, like always, all bets, trades, and of the likes within each his own risk and their own reward. Price action 10,500 in the general area as at 10:12 a.m. Eastern Time as of the recording of this video. So, yeah, this sideways range is going on. Within the weekly time frame, correction within the 18 average of highs. This is the end of the week. It's 89.50 for the low, 10,934 for the highs. 18 average of lows is rising. 18 average of highs is going to start to flatten out. And what we're going to see moving forward is probably a good chance that we will stay above this low of 9,000 low change and below the high of 13,000 and mid change. And anytime especially if it closes decently nice over 10,000 and you're like closer to the middle-ish part area, the odds are you're going to stay in it for a little while. You can see we got an uptrend forming here and most certainly a downtrend. So things are getting very, very symmetrical within this move. So this entire bit here since the June 21st breakout is the correctionary phase from this breakout here on April the 1st to this high. And it's had a small one early on, and it had a bit of a bigger one compared to this, at least more volatile anyway. And this is most certainly not only more volatile, but even longer as far as a sideways. I mean, this is just prototypical sideways correction here. This is your choppy sideways correction, I suppose, and this one is just, this didn't have much volatility compared to, of course, the last several weeks that have occurred within this up and down price action. Within the longer term, yeah, just pausing whenever it stays in this range. Well, last month, yeah, it's like two, yeah, man, whatever, green candles, followed by three, okay, pretty good ones. And you paused the three in a row kind of deal from the April 1st breakout. And so far, same sort of deal here, although there's still 13 days remaining in the month. Okay, we'll see. On the daily chart, we can just see more of this sideways consolidation that's going on in here. The uptrend that we were seeing here on the weekly, which is going back to July 15th. What can we see on July 15th here? It's not really much of one, I suppose. The bottom line is matching low and a significant one here. So we do have this higher low that's in place. If this fails, and even if it fails at the 18 highs and find resistance in here, starts to come back down because of the higher low, that means the first breach of this really gives you a little bit of leeway before this would be a complete breakdown of this support. And until it breaks it, expect whatever choppy action along the way. Anytime Bitcoin can have either a significant up and down price at any moment, and oftentimes when it does it, it'll do a sideways correction within it. So if there's a situation here on the 3 hour, this looks like, if anything, what's it favored to do for a significant move? Well, I would think if it's going to go up, it's up, or a failed breakout then down. Because it does seem as if on the 3 hour term, since this last high in here and its decline, we had this level of support congest at it for a long time, a significant period of time in here, congesting at previous low, indicating, ooh, it's probably going to go down, and it did when it broke this level of support, and a decent decline at that. And from that decent decline, establish resistance back to the lows. Attempt to break above it, again within this area of the highs, back to the lows. But because of the higher low, it's the 18 lows, it's the same test, but a higher low to do it. And now yet a test number 3 and the break of this resistance. So a clear move at around 10,650 to me would indicate that we're probably going to, I would think, have a test of over 11,000, even if not towards 11,002 to 11,003, at least based on the 3 hour term time frame. as I'm looking at it. So I think it's best if I want to look on a shorter term time frame to look at the Binance Tether exchange because the periods will look a lot better on that. And I got the Fibonacci lines on there as well too that I've totally not really forgot about, but haven't looked at as a better way of putting it. In a couple of days or so, I haven't looked at this too much or at all. All right, so here's the 3 hour time frame. It's not resisting at this Fibonacci level, obviously. What do these levels represent? Well, it represents the high in here and the low in here. So it sort of is, but it's doing it unusually with a pierce below. This is just weird for me to see. No, not to a degree. Yeah, I mean, if I see this, I often give it the credentials that will have a nice pierce above on the next move in here at about 10,820. But even within the wild moves, as I've mentioned, they could have phenomenal moves that could just be like, oh wow, $800, $900 in like one day. And then the best hour was like $500, stuff like that. Situations like that can happen at any time. And the reason why I talk about the failed breakout as a possibility if we're going to go down big, that I think if it's going to go down, it wouldn't surprise me if there's a failed move that happens before. Something in the area where if you look at this on the single hour, even I'm going to go 15-minute because it is a short term thing. So a situation in here where maybe it breaks resistance, maybe it has a move up to like say 10,743. It does it in like uh, a half hour, and then in the next 15 minutes it pulls back to 10,350. 15, 20 minutes or stuff. That's usually how I notice stuff like this happen. And then what you would notice that we would see 96.33 2 or 3 or 4 hours from now. Or from then at that point. That's how I would normally see the what I call the typical failed move. And the typical one is because that's what I remember seeing all the time, mainly within even gold and silver markets back in the day. Stock markets and different stocks as well too. Where before a significant sell-off, I'd oftentimes see, even a rally, same thing, where I would see a failed move in the opposite direction before that's the case. It's always good to know that that can come into play. So anytime you have any kind of breakout, okay, is this one going to be legitimate? Yes or no? And then, of course, from that point on, you just assess the message of the market and for yourself, risk reward management, any trades that you may need to make. Let's now switch to some altcoins and just sort of a random one in Qtum. And twice earlier, on April the 3rd and April the 27th, each time someone just sold pretty much the whole S load of their coins, or pretty much their entire portfolio or balance of such, and turning it into, well, at first at least Bitcoin. What they did after that, who knows? And then again, doing so on April the 26th, same person, different person, I don't know. And they were right, obviously, as the price action fell lower. But this top is April the 5th. April, yeah, that's. See, during this whole time in here, during the decline of Bitcoin, you can see in here, markets were just going sideways, yada, 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 or maybe going up to this pretty much around April, the end of March against Bitcoin and then decline. That's the entire market. And a lot of declines have came into place. We can see in here this price action had a nice failed breakout in June, but was unable to maintain it and of course breaking down below the 18 lows. Okay, what kind of support do we find in this area? Oh, it just congested there for a couple of days and oh, breaking down. And of course we can see that the signs of it breaking down, are we going to go significantly further? The answer is yes. Now what are we doing? We're just correcting in this phase. Two decent green days in a row. That's not bad. That's a start. What does this do? It flattens out the 18. It establishes levels of resistance. It strengthens the levels of key support. Key support is in at 218, basically, down to 215. Resistance, which was established in here at 251, that level has at least risen higher. Right now, the high for the day is at 261. Right now at 252. On the single hour term time frame, we can see how this thing got going at 8 o'clock on August the 17th, or yesterday morning. As price action 224, making it up to the 37. That's a gain of about 13 basis points. It's like a few percent, handful of them, like 7 or whatever. But then from this low, 230, and We'll just say a significant move up to 255. And that's a gain of 25 basis points. That's about 10%. And then we have this interesting pattern that followed, where we have this in here and then this. It's you can call it a descending triangle, where you have downtrend and significant horizontal support. Where horizontal support was in at 245, but these periods just started to go down. I it's more of a neutral type of pattern more than anything. A lot of it depends on where you come from, and generally speaking, usually these things usually resolve themselves in the current trend where you came from here. You had another one right here, another descending triangle as well on that point there. And when you see the break of it, well, what do you do at previous resistance? Oh, a lot of times you get above it in these spots in here. You did here. And again in here, when it gets it, it got above it there. I'm going to keep those lines in just to see how well. Actually, you know what? I'm not. I'm going to re-put them in because it's just going to look weird. So I'm going to put in a line at previous resistance here. And I haven't looked at the short term, but what I want to see is how well did it break its current resistance and how did it handle short term the area. I want this just a one notch higher at 237 and 255. And right now, if it breaks resistance, it's going to be the same sort of deal because correctionary phase here, correctionary phase here, and we're going through one right now as it's holding in there within the 18 average of highs on the hourly. So in the 15-minute time frame, let's even go to the 4, and I'm going to bypass the 1. As we can see, getting above in here, the fast move, getting above it, and if you were betting on the comeback to buy it cheaper, you had two opportunities to do it. One, the really fast one. Say, for example, like, oh my goodness, it's breaking out above 239. I want to buy, but I want to buy at the 237. Well, you got it here if you put your order in. And if you waited a bit here, you got it here. And if you went for a little cheaper, like a pierce below, you would have got it as well, too. Of course, if you bought in here, you should not have been stopped out by any move going down at 234. And there's your move. Oh, hit this line, sell there. No, but if you're doing any type of trading, what did your number hit? Is there anything there you've seen? Did this high volume make it a good idea to sell? Did the price action do so? Did you sell at 247, 250? Were you looking to sell at 257? How did you adjust when you didn't get it? And so on and so forth. And okay, so here we have the break of the 255 again. Almost comes back to, but the same sort of deal as it was before. It breaks it for takes a few periods of a noticeable move higher, enough where a good sell-off, but not a fantastic one, will bring it back to key support. Okay, yeah, and then it comes right back close to the level, then a pierce below, and now, of course, since then, what happened before? Well, we can see pierce below, then it went higher. Here, different case, it went below it again, and it has basically resisted this level ever since. And just doing like a bunch of, okay, sideways action. It had an attempt to break down once in here, didn't do it. Microscopic attempt here, didn't do it. Attempt here, didn't do it. It's going to have to do it at some point. And that just means, oh, the 4 minutes going to break down. Well, that would stay only hourly. Maybe it's going to go test the lows or have a small break, or at least a small break below. Could be a larger one, of course, too. And the 3 hour term time frame for something like this, there's an ascending triangle in this situation to a degree, but you can see how all of these levels here are in a nice little uptrend. And I like how it's, if we can see consolidation above and holding its thing above 244 for another like 7 9 periods, which is 9 times 327 for the next day or so for today, then that's just a good bullish signal. And then any type of break as it's going further, because we've established this level of resistance, if we can see some clear momentum going forward higher above, especially because it just made the scream attempt that, okay, we want to break above this and establish a new level of resistance. So we're talking like 280 at least, 285 even. And that's what this scream attempt here is. So if you see that it's actually able to do such, hold some uptrend lines. But as it stated, we can see on this time frame it's well above the 18, and that's why I stated even holding 244 area here. This because there's no big deal on a bullish level coming back in here, establishing a higher low really from this 219 mark. And then, of course, just strengthening a nice bullish pattern is what that would be doing more than anything. Moving on to theta, when looking at it on the triple hour term, we see how it is consolidating in this area a little bit. Yeah, holding and staying above like 1090 is what I'd like to see it do, but really just mainly holding in there from this high. Sort of like how I mentioned Bitcoin within the 13,000 and the 9,000 level. Well, it's sort of in this range here. The range has been extended. Originally, the range would have been like 1130 down to the established what the low now is of 1032, but it kind of barely beat it. So if it is able to not break out higher, then I'm expecting resistance in this range bound market, and or just until it breaks one of the key levels. Because if we break down below 10, 10, but down below the support, definitely in the triple digit numbers of Satoshi again, after all of this consolidation, all this type of attempt, then I'd be looking, okay, maybe we might be hitting the 7,600 level, which given how bad all the other markets have been doing, uh, I was expecting that there might have been a decent chance it was going to do it. And I thought it might have given all the other markets, but Theta has actually done a very good job on the intermediate term and overperforming, and even long term for that matter as well, in overperforming other markets against that of Bitcoin. As we can see on the daily chart, it's just been, it's had some good moves here and there. Now let's take a look at Theta and Qtum together. And during the entirety of Theta's career, it has overperformed significantly that much better over over Qtum. And that's been the case again for a lot of cryptocurrencies since January 30th, 2018 open on the Theta token. And within this, whatever's on the left-hand side, that's what's going up or down in here. So it's been going down against Theta, and if this is going up, then it would be the quite opposite. But with that being stated, the price action just recently has had this failed breakout where this happened. Price action before 18 highs, new low. Correctionary phase in here, microscopically new low, and a long correctionary phase. Obviously, that November 30th date where the market went down there. To get the best prices, you had to get them around 2 in the morning on that time frame. But then back into the same correctionary phases before, breaks down below the low, and then a great large significant move from the last low, and really the all-time lows at this stage. There's that established resistance that it had. It just recently broke. Well, I guess you could say recently, I suppose. Broke above it. It didn't hold in this area, and nor did if it finding support, it didn't have any type of lift off like something like that one might expect if this is going to revert the trend. And looking at this on the daily chart, there's more. This is happening back in June. So for myself, this meant that I was selling Qtum and buying Theta, and then of course buying it back along the way. And when we look at this as far as its moves, well, the volatility here 21 to 47. That's better than double. I mean, how many stocks are you going to have and find that are going to do this kind of volatility? Now I'm going to switch the exchange. What I have on here is one, I got the Bittrex for Qtum because it's actually got better long-term data given the Qtum flash moves that you've seen. But more importantly, I got Theta on the on the Huobi exchange because of that, I can see the January 2018 month. So now I got the one from Binance, which this one starts May of 2018. And then when looking at it on the daily, just got these little, yeah, whatever. But for more shorter term view, it gives me the better price. Plus, this is where I'm trading both the coins on as well right now. Okay, so the ratio down here as low as 20.2, which is around where I traded. So I'm looking to get a sell here. I want to sell QDM to buy Theta, but I need the price to go up a little bit higher. I do have an alert in here ready to go, but 3 hour term, it looks like we may come up and maybe test 23 and a half. That looks like a generally good area, which is exactly where my alert is in. So it'll tell me. I'll get a beep, beep, beep sound and an alert to state, okay, your market's ready to go for the trade. As my alerts look all ready to go just in case. And they're what I use to just let me know that trades are available. It's a nice little feature to have. And the spreadsheet that I use, it's an old school one for me, but it does the job well. It really shows how bad, when I put this in the data, for how bad coins have been beaten up against Bitcoin and the dollar for that matter, since I just put the stamp of the prices on at 15:45 hours on July the 7th, which is now 1 month plus 11 days. And amongst it, we're seeing all of these 30, 40, 50% down moves against the dollar. Bitcoin's down 8.62%, so it's like, man, not really not doing much at that stage. But here we have Theta down 3.13% against the dollar and up 6% against Bitcoin. I mean, what's the next best winner? Ripple? And maybe I just picked all the wrong coins. I got ETC down 29. You got DGB down 32. LITECOIN down 35. And it's a good one, down 35. At least it's better. And then Lumen down 32. But the 40% losers. Waves, Tron's down half its value. T-Fuel's down, well, 2/5. Sky's down close to half. QDM's down about half. It was down over before the rally. Short-term rally, that is. Neo's down 40. Komodo's lost more than half at 55%. Granted, on July 7th was a top for it. I think QTIM as well, but still, nonetheless, down 55%. 38 points, 38%, close to 40 for the gross coin, and Dash down 40%. Bitcoin Cash is only down 21, but Cosmos, or the ticker symbol Atom, down 44. So I use this, and this tells me too, so I can see the QDM Theta is close. That's 7% from last trade. SkyGo is 6%. It's relatively close. But I'm really not even looking at them. 8% even, minimum, most of the time. And I want to get big ones. I want to get 15, 20% moves if possible, but not often am I getting that. Not often those opportunities are coming into play. As one of the things that I used to say a lot of times in videos when I was talking about altcoins, when they're ready to go, they go. Because basically, and I'll just go back to an altcoin chart. And let's bring up a Ripple. Give it this analysis first. But when they're ready to go, they go fast and they get back. What they lose in like 35 days, they get back in like 2 or 3. That is the type of stuff. What they lost in like 7 days, 8 days, they get back in like 5 hours. That's the type of situations that have occurred several times in the past, and I would expect to continue to occur, of course, when they're ready to go. And I'm not trying to predict it. Although sometimes you can see that if a market's got a bullish setup, then maybe it's got a better chance of it, but still, it's just all about probability odds and all that type of stuff. So within Ripple, just a lot of interesting volatility in here. I mean, this was a big, big fall in here, a little bit of a rally, but starting to get back some of the retracement in there, but very choppy when we look at this amongst the single-hour term time frame. And that choppiness, just a lot of the sideways consolidation as this is happening from this high. So you got point A low, point B high. I'm not going to draw on Fibonacci, but 38.2% hit. 61.8% somewhere in here. So that would be somewhere of an intended target. You expect this to break resistance in here, maybe make a move north of 3,000. Viewing it on the 8 hour, the 3,000 would bring us up to here, but we can see how much it's gotten its ass kicked from this 5,500 high, and that's back in June. And as stated, April 1st is when the altcoins pretty much topped. And in this case, Not so much. It had a bad run actually from the 2019 levels. It's been getting its ass kicked to say the least. And when they're ready to go, I mean, this is a spot here where it was ready to go. And I didn't know that this was going to be an example of it, but this is in 4 days, but mainly even under two. It got back. Well, we figure everything that basically everything from this high on April 19th of 2018. So months worth of losses delivered back in a handful of days. That's what they do. What I'll be doing is I'm going to be updating this game today, tomorrow. Hopefully, get it done by the end of my next weekend, which has got prices, data of historical dates, and I'm going to put an okay amount, not an extremely large amount, but an okay playable variety of trading coins and how this will work. And this is not how it's going to look, although it's going to have this black screen and it's going to look something like this to start. And when you start playing it, you're going to have prices of only Bitcoin and Litecoin. And you'll be starting back in 2013, October the 7th. So if you don't really know I know you most likely do, but if you don't know the history, or maybe somebody else that's you're just getting into it, you don't know really the history of it, it's actually a very good experience, I would think, to do it. But it also shows what you can do within the portfolio. Be starting when the prices of Bitcoin is $121 and the prices of Litecoin is a little north of $2. All you can do to start the game will be trading Bitcoin against the dollar, Litecoin against the dollar, and Litecoin against Bitcoin. What will happen in this game is coins will be added and maybe even delisted as well. And when I say there might be, there will be. There might even be a fork, like on August the 1st, 2017, Bitcoin Cash, that will come in. And just different things like that. And I want to do even just little key little articles to start off with, just that I can write in there, which might extend it a few days. But I think it'll be pretty fun to do. Like all I can do right now is just go in here. Okay, next week. So it'll be on a weekly basis. So this will give you the idea of going to the computer every Sunday evening, because this is when the prices would be out for. Oh, Bitcoin is 128, and then it was 166 with Litecoin at 1.5. Then it was 180, and so on and so forth. I won't do any Mount Gox stuff because Mount Gox is kind of happening sometime after this. Um, but yeah, because one of the things, it would all depend on you as a trader back then. There is going to be situations, however, where you can get your ass destroyed and lose, and there's nothing else you can do about it. You're going to have to trade like normal to get those losses back, because this market won't recover. Where, oh my goodness, I just lost a whole lot. There's nothing I can do. So there's opportunities like that are going to exist in the game. I found one that was pretty cool. And yeah, so that's all part of the game. So the way it works out, I got all the dates written out here. So there's a field of 307, and that's basically how it's going to work. Now, it's actually every Monday for this. It's actually every Monday that I got, because that's when I got the Bitcoin data. That's how it works. So I got it set for that. I hope there might be a 1 day intricacy off, because I'm hoping it's August 12th was a Monday. I'm hoping that's not the Monday open, which is Sunday at 8 p.m. But anyway, it should be all fine and dandy anyway. But I'll end it with another look at the Bitcoin chart, and thank you for tuning in to today's video. And have yourself a great day and a great upcoming week. Bye bye.